The huge glass building of the Galaxy Council shined bright under 3 different suns as Ambassador Jinwoo walked into the big meeting room. His black suit looked very plain next to all the fancy clothes and strange body parts of the alien creatures. Around him, his small group of humans waited nervously while thousands of alien eyes stared at them. Jinwoo had been preparing for this day for 3 long years. He had learned dozens of alien languages, studied their customs, and practiced his speech. 1,000 times today was supposed to be the day when humans finally got their place at the big table. Today was supposed to change everything. The Valkyrie Prime Speaker was a giant bug-like creature with 6 arms and shiny green skin. It made clicking sounds with its mouth that Jinwoo knew meant it was laughing at them. The creature stood up on its long legs and spoke in a voice that echoed through the huge room. Humans, your species has only been in our galaxy for 200 years. You want the same power as us, but you only control 12 star systems. The Valkyrie Empire controls 3,000 systems across 40 different areas of space. Jinwoo felt his hands get tighter, but he kept his face calm. His helper, So Young, whispered to him, "Sir, maybe we should take what they offer us. A little bit of power is better than nothing at all." But Jinwoo knew that the little bit of power they were offering was almost nothing. It would mean humans could watch the meetings but could never vote on anything important. It would mean they could speak only when asked and could never make suggestions that mattered. The Tharnok creature stood up next. It looked like a big lizard with scales that changed colors when it got angry. Its scales were bright red now, which meant it was very mad. The creature pointed one of its clawed fingers at Jinwoo. The humans think they are so special just because they won some wars when they first came to space. They think this makes them equal to species who have ruled the stars for thousands of years. We say they should only be allowed to watch our meetings. They should not be allowed to vote for the next 500 years. More alien voices joined in, agreeing with the lizard creature. Jinwoo listened to species after species explain why humans were too young, too stupid, too emotional to have real power in the galaxy. He heard them say that humans lived such short lives that they could not make good long-term decisions. The worst moment came when the Zephyrian spoke. It was a creature made of pure energy that lived inside a crystal shell. Its voice sounded like beautiful music, but the words were cruel. Perhaps the humans need more time to grow up. Their feelings are too strong and they do not live long enough to be wise. We cannot risk the safety of the whole galaxy just to make every new species happy. When they learned to build spaceships, Jinwoo thought about all the things humans had done for these aliens. For 50 years, humans had shared their best technology freely. They had sent their soldiers to fight in alien wars. They had given food and medicine to species in need. They had followed every rule and done everything asked of them. Yet here he stood listening to creatures who had never risked anything for anyone else tell him that humans were not good enough. Jinwoo remembered the human colonies scattered across space. He thought about families who had left Earth to build new worlds. He thought about human soldiers who had died protecting aliens who now called them children. The vote happened quickly. 732 species voted against giving humans full membership. Only 18 species voted to help them. The sound of alien celebration filled the room. It was a horrible mix of roars, clicks, whistles, and electronic noises that seemed to mock everything humans had worked for. The Valkyrie Prime Speaker walked over to Jinwoo with what might have been a smile on its bug face. "Do not feel bad about this, Ambassador. Your species has potential. Maybe in a few hundred years when you have grown up more." That was the moment when something changed in Jinwoo. He had spent 3 years smiling and being polite, even when aliens insulted his people. He had followed every rule and played every political game, but now he was done pretending. Prime Speaker Jinwoo said very quietly, "I think there has been a big mistake here today." The bug creature tilted its head. "What mistake?" Human Jinwoo straightened his tie and looked directly into the alien's compound eyes. "You think we need you more than you need us." He turned to his team. "We are leaving, and we will not be coming back." The room went very quiet. Aliens who had been celebrating stopped making noise. Jinwoo began walking toward the exit with his team following behind him. So Young caught up to him. "Sir, what are you planning to do?" Jinwoo kept walking, but his voice was different now. It was calm but dangerous. We are going home. So young. And then, we are going to show the galaxy what happens when you push humans too far. As they reached the big doors, Jinwoo stopped and turned around one last time. He looked at the hundreds of alien faces staring at him in shock. For the first time in 3 years, he was not trying to be diplomatic or polite. "You have made your choice," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "You do not want humans as partners. You want us as servants or pets, but you forgot something important about humans." "What is that?" Human called out the Velkari Prime. Speaker, Jinwoo smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "We do not stay down when someone tries to keep us there, and we have very long memories." The great doors closed behind the human team with a sound like thunder. For the first time in 50 years, the human chairs in the Galaxy Council sat empty. None of the alien species realized they had just made the biggest mistake in the history of the galaxy, back on the human ships heading home. Jinwoo sat in his private room and made a call to Earth. The face that appeared on his screen belonged to Admiral Dongmin, the head of human military forces. "How did it go?" the Admiral asked, though he could already see the answer in Jinwoo's face, exactly as we expected. Jinwoo replied, "They offered us the same observer status we have had for 50 years. They made it clear that they see us as children who need to be watched and controlled." Admiral Dongmin nodded slowly. "And your response?" Jinwoo leaned back in his chair. "I told them we were leaving and that we would not be back." The look of shock on their faces was almost worth 50 years of insults. "What are our orders now?" Ambassador Jinwoo was quiet for a long moment, thinking about everything that had happened. Then he spoke with a voice full of determination. "Activate Protocol 7, Admiral. It is time to show the galaxy what humans can really do." The Admiral smiled. "It will be my pleasure." As the human ships jumped into hyperspace heading away from the galaxy, Council Jinwoo looked out at the stars. He thought about all the alien species who had dismissed humans as unimportant. They were about to learn that humans were much more dangerous when you made them angry than when you made them friends. The galaxy had pushed too far. Now they would face the consequences. 6 months had passed since the terrible day at the Galaxy Council, and now the effects of humanity leaving were becoming impossible to ignore. Admiral Dongmin stood on the bridge of his big warship called Soul Pride, watching as another alien ship approached the edge of human space. It was the 5th one this week. The alien ships always came begging now. They needed human help. But humans were no longer listening, so reported Captain Haijin from her seat at the communication controls. "The Tharnok ship is asking permission to enter our solar system. They say they have very important business to discuss." Admiral Dongmin did not even turn around to look at her. Same answer as always. "Captain, human space is closed to all alien ships until we decide otherwise. They can send their request through the proper channels if they want. But sir, they are saying it is about the Kepler station fight." Now Dongmin did turn around, and his old weathered face showed just a tiny bit of amusement. Yes, the fight where 3 Tharnok warships tried to force their way through our space without asking. They claimed some old treaty gave them the right to pass through. The memory was still fresh in everyone's mind. The Tharnok ships had been huge each, one big enough to destroy a small moon. They had expected the humans to move out of the way like they always had before. Instead, they found themselves facing just one human destroyer ship, called Busan Runner, commanded by Captain Young-sik, the alien. Commanders had laughed when the small human ship ordered them to stop. They stopped laughing when the Busan Runner new weapons tore through their shields like they were made of paper. The fight lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. 2 Tharnok ships were destroyed, and the third barely escaped with heavy damage. Sir Captain Haijin continued. "They are also asking about the trade embargo. The Zephyrian Empire is reporting big shortages of quantum computers and medical supplies." Admiral Dongmin nodded grimly. For 50 years, humanity had been the galaxy's most reliable supplier of advanced technology. Human engineers had a gift for making new things that other species found both useful and annoying. Now, with all human trade stopped, entire sectors were discovering just how much they had depended on human cleverness. The door to the bridge opened, and Ambassador Jinwoo entered. He was no longer wearing his fancy diplomatic clothes, but dressed in the simple uniform of the human Colonial Defense Force Admiral. I need to talk with you about the latest spy reports. They moved to the Admiral private room where star maps covered every wall. Jinwoo turned on a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. The situation is getting worse faster than we expected. The Velkari are facing open rebellion in 6 of their outer colonies. Without human defensive technology, they cannot keep control. Admiral Dongmin studied the display. And the others, the Aquatic Federation, lost an entire fleet to the Void Remnants last week. 40 ships destroyed because they did not have human early warning systems. The Crystalline Collective is asking for emergency help. With a plague that is killing their silicon-based life forms, the Admiral leaned back in his chair. All problems that human science could solve exactly. But here is the interesting part. Jinwoo changed the display to show intercepted communications. They are not just asking for help anymore. They are demanding it. The Galaxy Council has issued 3 separate orders telling humanity to fulfill its duties to galactic stability. Ordering us, Admiral Dongmin voice carried a dangerous edge. It gets better. The Velkari Prime Speaker made a public statement yesterday, saying that humanity, selfish isolation is a threat to galactic peace. Several other species are supporting a motion to declare human space a zone of concern, subject to Council intervention. The 2 men looked at each other in silence. Finally, Admiral Dongmin spoke. "How is Project Exodus coming along?" Jinwoo smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Dr. Minji's team has exceeded all expectations. The new colony ships are ready, and we have identified 7 galaxy clusters beyond current exploration. Range if we wanted to. We could move every human settlement within 2 years. And if we do not want to move, then we use protocol. 7 Admiral Dongmin walked to the big window and stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, hundreds of alien species were discovering that the humans they had dismissed as emotional and childish were far more dangerous than they had imagined. The galaxy had pushed too far, and now they were about to learn what happened when humanity stopped playing by everyone. Else rules send a message to all human colonies, he said quietly. Begin Phase 2 of the Independence Protocol. And Jinwoo. Yes, sir. Make sure our alien friends know that we received their demands and make sure they know our response. Jinwoo's smile got wider with pleasure. Admiral. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the effects of humanity absence were growing worse every day. On the Velkari homeworld Prime, Speaker Velkoth stood in his private chambers reading report after report of disasters. Each one worse than the last without human computer systems. Interstellar communication was breaking down. It now took weeks to send messages that used to take minutes. Without human medical technology, plagues were spreading unchecked. Without human engineering expertise, massive construction projects were failing. The Prime Speaker's 6 arms trembled as he read the latest report from the outer colonies. 12 worlds had declared independence from the Velkari Empire in the past month. Without human defensive systems to protect them, the colonies felt vulnerable and abandoned. Many were forming their own alliances or joining smaller confederations that promised better protection. A communication alert chimed, and the image of General Carvex appeared on the screen. Sir, we have lost contact with the Kepler Mining Consortium. The entire operation has gone silent. How many workers? Velkoth asked, though he already feared the answer. 40,000, sir. All Velkari citizens. The Prime Speaker closed his eyes. The Kepler Mining Consortium had been one of their most profitable operations. It produced rare metals, essential for starship construction. Without human automation systems, the mining equipment had become unstable. Without human safety protocols, accidents had become common. Now it seemed the entire operation had collapsed, Sir General Carvex continued. We are also receiving reports that human ships have been seen in the neutral zone. They appear to be making contact with species we have never encountered before. What kind of species? Unknown, sir. But our long-range sensors detected energy signatures unlike anything in our databases. The human ships seem to be conducting some kind of diplomatic exchange. Velkoth felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. For 50 years, the Galaxy Council had assumed they knew the full extent of galactic civilization. They had mapped every star system, cataloged every species, and established trade with every significant power. Or so they thought. What If humanity had found allies beyond the known galaxy, what if during their time as junior members of the Council, they had been quietly exploring regions no one else knew about? What if humanity was not as isolated as everyone believed? Sir, another communication was coming in. This one carried the emergency codes that meant immediate crisis. Prime Speaker. This is Commander Zelthor from the Border Patrol. We have detected a massive human fleet moving through the outer rim. They are not responding to our communications, and they are heading toward unexplored space. How many ships? Over 300, sir. And they are using technology we do not recognize. The ships appear to be larger and more advanced than anything in the human colonial defense. Forceful Koth realized with growing horror that humanity had been preparing for this moment. They had not simply withdrawn from galactic politics in anger. They had planned this. They had been building and preparing, and now they were leaving entirely. Get me a direct communication link to the human leadership, he ordered. Immediately. Sir, we have been trying for months. The humans are not accepting any communications from Council members. They have established a complete diplomatic embargo. Then send a ship to human space. Sir, we tried that. The Tharnak Confederacy sent 3 warships last month. They were destroyed before they could deliver their message. The Prime Speaker sat down heavily in his command chair. Around him, his empire was crumbling. Other species were following humanity example and withdrawing from Council authority. The galaxy was fracturing, and at the center of it all was the species they had dismissed as too young and emotional to matter. For the first time in his long life, Velkoth wondered if the Galaxy Council had made a terrible mistake. The emergency meeting of the Galaxy Council was unlike anything in the Chamber 1,000-year history. Representatives from over 800 species filled the seats, creating a mix of panic and desperation that was almost beautiful in its variety. At the center of it all, the Velkari Prime Speaker struggled to keep order as frightened voices rose in dozens of languages. The human quarantine has lasted 8 months, screamed the avian delegate, her feathered head flashing angry colors. Our air processors are failing without human repair codes. 3 of our worlds are becoming impossible to live on. The Tharnak representative slammed his scaled fist against his speaking platform. My people economy has collapsed. Human quantum computers managed 90% of our star trade networks. We are back to using communication systems that take weeks to send simple messages in the observation area. Counselor Tae Hyun of the Terran Colonial Authority watched the chaos with cold satisfaction. He was the only human present, and every alien eye in the chamber eventually found its way to him. He sat perfectly still with his hands folded and his face showing no emotion, as species after species detailed their growing disasters. The crystalline, collective representative was a living gemstone that talked through musical sounds. When translated, its message was simple. Our children are dying. The plague spreads because we cannot make human biostabilizers. We have lost 67% of our young enough. The Prime Speaker voice boomed across the chamber. We all understand the situation. The question is what we do about it. Counselor Tae Hyun, your people have stayed silent for too long. Speak for humanity. Tae Hyun rose slowly, his simple black suit looking very different from the fancy costumes around him. When he spoke, his voice carried clearly through the chamber. I am not here to speak for humanity. Prime Speaker, I am here to observe. Observe, the word came from the gaseous entity that represented the Nebula Collective. Your species is destroying galactic stability through doing nothing. Are we? Tae Hyun tone stayed conversational. I was under the impression that galactic stability was the Council responsibility. After all, you voted that humanity lacked the maturity and emotional control necessary for such responsibilities. The Zephyrian delegate crystalline form pulsed with worried energy. This is not the time for petty revenge. Entire sectors are sliding into chaos. The Void Remnants have conquered 4 systems because defensive grids failed without human technology. The Mineral Lords of Kepler 438 are extinct, added another voice. Their life support systems needed human nano-repair technology. When the systems failed, their underground cities became tombs. Tae Hyun listened to each new crisis report with the same neutral expression. Finally, he spoke again. These are indeed tragic circumstances. The Council should act quickly to address them. How can we act without human cooperation? Demanded the Prime Speaker. Your technology is part of every aspect of galactic civilization. Is it? Tae-hyun tilted his head slightly. That seems like poor planning on your part. The Council has repeatedly stated that humanity represents only a minor power in galactic affairs. Surely such a minor power could not be essential to your survival. The chamber erupted in angry voices, but Tae-hyun continued speaking, his calm words cutting through the chaos. For 50 years humanity offered partnership. We shared our innovations, freely fought in your wars, contributed to your prosperity. We asked only for equal representation for the respect due to a contributing member of galactic society. He gestured to the chaos around him. Instead, you offered us the status of children, to be seen but not heard, to contribute but not to lead. You made it clear that our voice was unwelcome, our perspective invalid. The Prime Speaker leaned forward. What do you want? Human name. Your price credits territory. Resources. Tae-hyun's smile was cold as the space between stars. You misunderstand the situation, Prime Speaker. This is not a negotiation. This is a consequence. He turned on a holographic projector showing real-time images. From across human space, massive construction projects, new colonies, ships unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. While you have been struggling with failing technology, humanity has been busy. We have developed new methods, new approaches, new allies. The images shifted to show human fleets meeting unknown species from distant galaxies. Technology exchanges with civilizations the Council had never contacted. The galaxy is bigger than your little council realizes. Much bigger. You are making contact with external powers. The Aquatic Federation delegate sounded horrified. That could destabilize everything. Could it? Tae-hyun shrugged. Or could it provide alternatives to a system that has clearly outlived its usefulness? He began walking toward the exit. The Council has made its position clear. Humanity is not welcome as an equal partner. Very well, we accept your decision. As he reached the door, the Prime Speaker called out desperately, Wait, surely we can reach some accommodation. Tae-hyun paused without turning around. The time for accommodation was 8 months ago. Prime Speaker. You had your chance to treat humanity with respect. Instead, you chose to treat us as subjects. His voice carried a finality that sent chills through every being in the chamber. Now you will learn the difference between subjects and enemies. The door closed behind him with a soft sound, leaving 800 species to think about the ruins of their civilization and the growing realization that they had awakened something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Back in human space, President So-min stood in the command center of New Terra Station, watching reports flow in from across the galaxy. The woman, who had once been humanity chief scientist, now wore the uniform of the Free Terran Republic, the government that had replaced the old colonial authority. The Tharnok Confederacy just lost another 12 systems to internal rebellion, reported General Ki-wan. Without human administrative software, their bureaucracy has collapsed completely. They cannot collect taxes, coordinate defense, or even maintain basic services. And the Crystalline Collective, their birth rate has dropped to 0. The plague is spreading faster than they can treat it. Without human biotechnology, their entire species may be extinct within a year. So-min nodded, studying the holographic display that showed the state of galactic civilization. What she saw was total collapse. The carefully maintained balance of the Galaxy Council was falling apart without human technology to hold it together. Ma-am interrupted. Commander Young-ho, we are receiving another desperate transmission from the Valkyrie Empire. They are offering to give humanity full council membership and veto power over all decisions. Response, So-min asked. Same as always. Refer them to the appropriate channels for processing. The irony was perfect. For 50 years, humanity had been told to submit requests through proper channels, to wait for committee decisions, to follow bureaucratic procedures. Now the aliens were getting the same treatment and discovering how frustrating it could be. Dr. Sun-hee joined the group carrying a data pad. The brilliant scientist who had once worked to benefit all galactic species now focused entirely on human advancement. The breakdown is accelerating faster than our models predicted. The Aquatic Federation is at war with 3 neighboring species over water rights. The Zephyrian Empire has lost the ability to maintain their energy containment systems. She activated another section of the display showing human expansion. Meanwhile, we have established successful colonies in 4 different galaxies. Our alliance with the Nexari Coalition gives us access to dimensional fold technology. Our partnership with the Ethereal Communion provides consciousness-linking networks. General Ki-wan smiled grimly. While they fight over scraps, we are building something entirely new. The display showed the full scope of human achievement. In just 8 months, the Free Terran Republic had grown from 12 star systems to over 300 worlds, spread across multiple galaxies. They had formed alliances with dozens of previously unknown species and developed technology that made their old Council-era capabilities look primitive. Commander Young-ho reported long-range sensors are detecting massive refugee movements throughout Council space. Entire species are abandoning their homeworlds as government systems collapse orders. Somin asked, continue monitoring but take no direct action. The Galaxy Council wanted to handle galactic affairs without human interference. We are simply giving them what they asked for. A new alert flashed on the display. Sir, we have intercepted communications between several Council species. They are discussing a joint military operation to force human cooperation. So-min expression did not change. Let them try. They will discover that the humans they dismissed as emotional and immature have become something far more dangerous than they ever imagined. As chaos spread through Council space and desperate aliens begged for help that would never come, humanity continued building their new civilization among the stars. The galaxy that had rejected them was learning the price of arrogance while humanity showed them what they had lost by treating them as children instead of partners. The Free Terran Republic was no longer interested in joining the Galaxy Council. They were too busy building something better. The hidden base on the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy hummed with activity as President Somin walked through corridors filled with beings the Galaxy Council had never seen. Tall, elegant creatures with 4 arms and crystal eyes worked alongside short, furry engineers whose technology made Council systems look like stone tools. At the center of it all, humans coordinated what was becoming the largest alliance in known space status report. Somin requested as she entered the main operations center. The woman who had once served as humanity chief diplomat to the Council now wore the uniform of the Free Terran Republic, the government that had replaced the old colonial authority. General Ki-wan, formerly Admiral Dong-min, stood before a massive holographic display showing 3 entire galaxies. The Nexari Coalition has agreed to full military alliance, he reported. That gives us access to their dimensional fold technology. Travel time between galaxies just dropped to days instead of months, and the Ethereal Communion. They are sharing their consciousness-linking networks. Our scientists and theirs can now work together in real time across impossible distances. Dr. Sun-hee team says they will have new breakthrough technologies, ready within weeks. Somin nodded, studying the display. The map showed human territory expanding rapidly, but not into the galaxy they had once called home. Instead, humanity was claiming entire sectors in distant spiral arms, building something unprecedented in galactic history. Mayam interrupted Commander Young-ho from his station. We are receiving distress signals from the old galaxy. The Velkari Empire has lost 12 core worlds to the Void Remnants. They are requesting immediate military assistance response. Somin asked. Same as always. Refer them to the Galaxy Council for appropriate action. The display shifted to show the devastation spreading through Council space. Without human early warning systems, Void incursions were claiming entire star systems. Without human diplomatic protocols, species were turning on each other instead of cooperating. Without human innovation, technological stagnation was setting in across hundreds of civilizations. The irony is beautiful, commented Dr. Sun-hee as she joined the group. The brilliant scientist who had once worked to benefit all galactic species now focused entirely on human and allied advancement. They called us immature and emotional. But look how they are handling adversity. She activated another section of the display. The Tharnok Confederacy is at war with the Aquatic Federation over resource rights. The Crystalline Collective has closed its borders and is attacking anyone who approaches their space. 300 species have petitioned to join. Various defensive pacts, but nobody trusts anyone else enough to share technology. General Kiwan smiled grimly. While they fight over scraps, we are building something entirely new. The display zoomed out to show the full scope of human expansion. In 18 months, the Free Terran Republic had established colonies in 4 different galaxies, formed alliances with over 200 previously unknown species, and developed technology that made their old Council-era capabilities look like primitive tools. The hegemony wants to formalize our defense pact, reported Commander Young-Ho. Their bioships combined with our AI systems would create the most powerful fleet in known space. Approved, So-Min said without hesitation. What about the other matter, Kiwan? Expression grew serious. The Watchers have made contact. They want to discuss the Council situation. The Watchers were ancient, possibly the oldest spacefaring civilization anyone had encountered. They claimed to have observed galactic development, for millions of years intervening only when absolute necessity demanded it. Their message to humanity had been simple. Your former associates have created instability. Resolution may be required. Schedule a meeting. So-Min decided. But make it clear, we are not interested in returning to the old system. A new alert flashed on the display. Commander Young-Ho read it with growing amazement. MAM long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet heading toward Council space configuration unknown. But the energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Dr. Sun-Hee pulled up the sensor data, her face becoming pale as she analyzed it. Those are not ships, she said quietly. Those are something else entirely, and they are heading straight for the Galaxy Council core worlds. The operations center fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. The Council had dismissed humanity as unimportant, choosing to face galactic challenges without human support. Now something new was approaching, something that might require the kind of unified response the Council was no longer capable of organizing. Meanwhile, in the Nixari home system, Ambassador Tae-hyun met with High Commander Velnara in a chamber that existed partially in normal space and partially in another dimension. The Nixari were beings of incredible intelligence who had mastered technologies the Galaxy Council could not even comprehend. Your former associate's situation grows worse, daily reported Velnara, whose forearms moved in complex patterns as she spoke. Our scouts report that 17 more Council species have fallen to internal conflicts in the past week. Tae-hyun nodded, studying the tactical displays that surrounded them. The Council always claimed they were the guardians of galactic stability. It seems they were only capable of maintaining order when they had human technology to help them. The High Commander crystalline eyes flashed with what might have been amusement. We have observed many galactic civilizations over the millennia. Most follow similar patterns of rise, expansion, and eventual decline. Your species, however, appears to be different. How so? Most species become complacent when they achieve technological superiority. They stop innovating, stop exploring, stop growing. Humans seem incapable of such stagnation. Even now, when you have surpassed your former associates by centuries of development, you continue pushing boundaries. Tae-hyun felt a surge of pride. The Free Terran Republic had achieved in 18 months what the Galaxy Council had failed to accomplish in 1,000 years. They had united hundreds of species in genuine cooperation rather than forced submission. They had shared technology freely while advancing their own capabilities. They had explored new galaxies while building lasting alliances. High Commander Velnara continued her analysis. The approaching threat to Council space is significant. Our deep space monitors indicate it is unlike anything previously encountered. Your former associates lack the unity or technology to mount an effective defense, and our response, Tae-hyun asked. The Nixari coalition will honor our defense agreements. We will protect human worlds and allied territories. But Council, space. She gestured dismissively. They chose their path when they rejected partnership in favor of dominance back at the Free Terran Republic headquarters. President So-min received reports from across human space. The expansion continued at an incredible pace. New colonies reported successful establishment every day. New species requested alliance membership every week. New technologies emerged from the combined research efforts of dozens of civilizations. AM General Ki-wan approached with the latest intelligence. The approaching threat has been identified as something called the convergence. They appear to be a machine intelligence that assimilates other civilizations. Their technology is based on principles we do not recognize, orders. So-min asked. Monitor the situation, Ki-wan replied, but take no action. The Galaxy Council wanted to handle galactic affairs without human interference. We are simply giving them what they asked for. Dr. Sun-hee joined them carrying a data pad with preliminary analysis. The Convergence fleet is massive, over 10,000 vessels of unknown configuration, heading directly for the most heavily populated council systems. If they maintain current speed, they will reach Velkari space within 6 weeks. President So-min stared out at the stars visible through the command center viewports. Somewhere in the distance, the civilization that had rejected humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, and they would face it alone because they had chosen pride over partnership, arrogance over cooperation. The Free Terran Republic had moved beyond needing the Galaxy Council approval or assistance. They had built something better, something stronger, something that would survive whatever was coming. While the Council species fought each other over the ruins of their former glory, humanity, and their true allies prepared for a future the old galaxy would never see. The time for rescue was over. The time for consequences had begun. The Galaxy Council chamber was burning. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows across the ruined seats, where once 800 species had gathered in arrogant unity. Now barely 200 delegates remained, many bearing wounds from the desperate battles raging across what had once been the most secure system in the galaxy. The Velkari Prime Speaker, his once magnificent shell cracked and bleeding, stood before a holographic display showing the extent of the catastrophe. The unknown invaders, beings calling themselves the Convergence, had swept through council space like a plague. Entire star systems converted to their purposes. Populations absorbed or eliminated technology, stolen and perverted. The outer rim has fallen completely, reported the Tharnok delegate, his scales now a dull gray of defeat. 47 species have been absorbed by the Convergence. Their assimilation technology is beyond our understanding. The Zephyrian Empire lasted 6 hours after first contact, added another Foyser. They tried to negotiate. The Convergence responded by converting their energy beings into weapons. Prime Speaker Velkoth clicked his mandibles in despair. In 18 months, the Galaxy Council had lost 3/4 of its territory and half its member species. The remaining civilizations huddled in an ever-shrinking circle of defended space, watching helplessly as the Convergence consumed everything they had built over thousands of years. Have we received any response from the humans? Asked the Aquatic Federation representative, though they all knew the answer. The same automated message, Velkoth replied bitterly. The Free Terran Republic recognizes the sovereignty of all sapient species and respects their right to handle internal affairs without interference. The cruel irony was not lost on anyone present. For 50 years, the Council had used similar language to justify ignoring human concerns, treating them as an internal matter beneath the Council notice. Now humanity was returning the favor with surgical precision. Sir, interrupted a communications officer. We are receiving reports from the Kepler sector. The Convergence has encountered something unexpected. The main display shifted to show grainy footage from a fleeing refugee ship. The Convergence fleet, thousands of biomechanical horrors that had crushed every Council defense, hung motionless in space. Around them, sleek ships of unknown design moved with predatory grace. Those are not Council vessels, breathed the crystalline collective delegate. No, Velkoth confirmed, studying the distinctive angular design. Those are human ships, but not like any we have seen before. The footage showed what happened next. The Convergence, which had absorbed the technology of hundreds of species, launched their standard conversion attack. Streams of assimilation, nanites, and reality-warping energy should have overwhelmed any defense. Instead, the human ships simply vanished, not destroyed, Not disabled, gone. One moment they were there, the next they existed in some other dimensional space entirely. When they reappeared, they brought weapons that tore through Convergence bioarmor like it was made of paper. Dimensional fold technology, whispered Dr. Hae-young, one of the few human scientists who had remained in council space. I heard rumors about breakthrough research, but this... She trailed off in amazement. The engagement lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, the Convergence fleet was debris, and the human ships had vanished again without a word. They are not helping us realize the prime speaker. They are protecting their own interests. A new transmission arrived, this one carrying the seal of the Free Terran Republic. President So-min appeared on the screen, older now, her expression carrying the authority of someone who had built something magnificent from nothing to the Galaxy Council. She began, her voice carrying across the ruined chamber. We have been monitoring your situation with the Convergence. We note your previous statements regarding humanity unsuitability for galactic leadership and your confidence in handling threats without our involvement. Velkoth felt his heart sink as he recognized the formal diplomatic language, the same cold protocol the Council had once used to dismiss human concerns. However, So-min continued, the Free Terran Republic has obligations to our allies and trading partners. Some of your member species fall into these categories. We will be extracting our people and our allies to safety. Any species wishing to join the evacuation may submit applications through proper channels. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Finally, the Aquatic Federation delegate spoke. They are not coming to save us. They are coming to pick up the pieces worth saving. Over the following days, human evacuation fleets appeared throughout Council space. But they were not the desperate rescue operations the Council had expected. These were methodical, professional extractions of specific individuals and groups, human populations, allied species, valuable scientists and engineers, anyone whose skills might benefit the growing extragalactic civilization. Species that had dismissed humanity as unimportant found themselves being dismissed in turn. Former Council powers discovered they did not meet the criteria for evacuation. Appeals were processed through bureaucratic systems that seemed designed to delay rather than assist. This is what we did to them, Velkoth admitted to his aide as they watched another human ship depart with refugees. This is exactly how we treated their requests for membership, their appeals for assistance, their attempts at partnerships, or perhaps if we sent a formal apology. You do not understand, the prime speaker interrupted. This is not about apology. This is about consequences. We had the chance to work with humanity as equals. Instead, we chose to treat them as subjects. Now they are treating us the same ways. The final human evacuation ships prepared to leave Council space. President So-min herself arrived aboard the massive vessel called New Earth. Her ship was accompanied by a fleet that made the old Council Navy look like toys. The vessels moved with impossible grace, powered by technologies that bent space and time. Prime Speaker Velkoth managed to secure a direct communication link. It was the first time in over a year that a human leader had spoken directly to the Council President So-min. He began, his voice breaking. We were wrong. We see that now. Humanity deserved respect, deserved partnership. We let our pride blind us to your value. Please, there must be something we can offer, some way to earn your forgiveness. So-min's expression remained neutral as she listened. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke in the same calm tone she had used for diplomatic negotiations decades earlier. Prime Speaker, you still do not understand. This is not about forgiveness or earning our help. This is about the natural consequences of your choices. She gestured to the chaos visible through the chamber viewports. For 50 years, humanity offered to share our knowledge, our innovations, our friendship. You responded by treating us as children who needed to be managed rather than partners who deserved respect. Now when crisis comes, you want us to set aside our own interests to save the civilization that rejected us. But why should we? The Free Terran Republic has allies who treated us with dignity from the beginning. We have obligations to species who welcomed human partnership rather than demanding human servitude. But the Prime Speaker started. President So-min held up her hand. The evacuation will continue for 72 more hours. Any individuals who qualify under our criteria will be extracted. After that, human ships will not return to this galaxy. The Free Terran Republic has found better partners among the stars. The communication ended, leaving the Council chamber in absolute silence around them. The convergence closed in on the final strongholds. As civilization collapsed around species too proud to learn humility, humanity and their new allies continued their work among distant stars. They had built something better than the Galaxy Council. A true partnership of equals based on mutual respect rather than ancient prejudices. The galaxy that had rejected humanity burned. The civilizations that had dismissed human potential crumbled. And in the space between galaxies, the Free Terran Republic continued to grow, carrying the best of the old galaxy into a future the Council would never see. The last human ship departed, just as the convergence reached the inner systems. Prime Speaker Velkoth watched from his crumbling tower as alien machines consumed his homeworld, reflecting on the pride that had cost them everything. While in distant galaxies, humanity and their true allies built wonders that would endure long after the Galaxy Council was nothing but space dust and bitter memory. The price of pride, it turned out, was everything.